Hey guys, Metal Viking 82 here, back with a new Viking Orations. Got another review for you today, the first of two I'm going to be doing today, and surprise, surprise, both of them are going to be Indiana metal releases, because frankly, the Indiana scene is already kicking ass in 2024. So first up, we're going to be talking about the debut EP from the band Wizard Death, entitled I Am the Night, out now through Wise Blood Records. And if you are not familiar with Wizard Death, they are a two-piece traditional heavy metal band out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Been around since just last year in 2023, featuring the father-son duo of Tim Kanefic. I don't know how to pronounce your last name. I apologize. Handling guitars and bass. He's actually also in the band Throne, who are absolutely killer band in and of themselves. Excuse me. And his son Alexander, who basically handles helping with the composing of the songs and the lyricist. And he also provides vocals for the demo tracks that appear on here, which I will get into more here later. So, of course, we have session musicians to round out the whole lineup. Firstly, you have Rob Wrong on lead guitars on track number 3. Kyle Smith handles the drums. And finally, Kayla Dixon from Witch Mountain. She's also the vocalist of Lividus. She handles the vocals on here. As I said, it is their debut EP. It is 3 tracks, just about 11 minutes in length, though the CD actually has an exclusive 4th track that has is basically like a track done by the dungeon synth composer Mortlock, and it also contains 3 demos of the main 3 tracks of this EP. But yeah, when this release was announced, I was very intrigued, not only by the, absolutely killer artwork on here, but the whole father-son aspect of this band. I mean, other than Defeated Sanity, who was also founded by a father and son duo, that's not something you hear of happening very often in the metal scene, at least not to my knowledge anyway. And honestly, this EP did not disappoint in the least. The guitars just have this tone that just absolutely screams metal. Mid to fast paced, galloping riffs that are melodic and really get the head banging. And I just love that kind of dual guitar aspect of a lot of the songs on here, and the solos on here are just absolutely killer. There's some really cool finger tapping sections too to be had on here, such as the lead-off title track at the 2:36 mark, as well as in track number 2, Under the Southern Cross, at about 2:08. And that particular section actually leads to a really killer solo with a nice wailing riff to kind of that trails off. Really cool stuff. And then when you get into track number 3, Slay the Serpent, the kind of opening riff, which actually kind of basically becomes the main riff of the entire song, has this very Sabbathy, doomy feel to it, but it also brings to mind the song, and this is going to be a kind of a odd thing to say, but it brings to mind Freezing Moon by Mayhem. It's not like a total, like, oh man, that's the Freezing Moon riff. No, it just has that same feel to it. It's like, as soon as I heard it, I was like, man, what does this remind me of? And the more I thought about it, I was like, Freezing Moon by Mayhem. So that was kind of a cool little thing I picked out. But then, at about 2:55 into that song, it switches briefly to this really heavy, kind of Slayer-esque sounding riff before it slows things down and get to kind of that Sabbathy pace. Very good guitar work all over this EP. I thought the drum production and performance was very solid on here. He never really does anything really flashy or anything, just lays down some solid grooves and beats to some really, just some traditional sounding heavy metal drumming. Really thick toned bass on here that's easily heard throughout all 3 of these tracks, but it seems to me like on the lead off track it kind of blends in a little bit more with the guitars. I mean, you can still kind of pick it out, but it kind of blends in just a little bit more. But then once you get into tracks 2 and 3, it really pushes itself forward into the mix. So there's kind of a little bit of a variation in the way the bass was mixed on this EP, but still, yeah, still sounded really good. And of course, I've heard Witch Mountain before, and then her stuff with Lividus. And honestly, this just proves to me that Kayla has got some serious pipes. I mean, she has such range and such power to her vocals as she just wails and sings her heart out. And she also has these kind of more straightforward, don't fuck with me kind of vocals that she uses that kind of brought to mind Marley Riley of Hyperia a bit. And then, of course, Tim actually provides some more harsh and growled vocals as backing vocals at times throughout the EP. And then, of course, the exclusive track, track 4, simply titled Wizard Death, is just this really dungeon synthy kind of track. It's kind of a mix of, mystical and this kind of sense of darkness at the same time, which, I mean, honestly, if you look at the artwork, it really works for this release, especially with that artwork. I just thought it was really cool. I know a lot of people aren't big on dungeon synth type stuff, but it really worked, I thought, with this artwork, and everything kind of fit the overall theme. Then when you get into the demo tracks, those are kind of a cool little novelty to have here as extra bonus tracks. And, you know, as they are demos, the production, even the overall aesthetic of the songs varies from the final product. And then, again, this is also where we get to hear Alexander, the son of this duo, providing vocals. And, you know, for such a young kid, I mean, I'm not going to tell you how young he is, but just go look at the picture of the band on their Bandcamp and you'll see how young this kid is. But still, it is just very cool seeing him providing vocals and doing something cool with his dad like this. You know, the bass really seems to come through on all the songs on the demo versions as well. You can hear it clear as day, just right up in the mix on all three of those songs. So I'm not sure why it varied once they got to the final product. And, you know, while Alexander doesn't exactly have Kaylee's, excuse me, God, I cannot talk, power and range, it's still really cool hearing him kind of put his little spin on the songs. With Tim sort of, you know, kind of duetting with him, providing the backing vocals, it's almost like they're kind of singing at the same time, doing dual vocals. And then when you get into the second track, Tim actually takes over lead vocals and Alexander does the backing. So they just kind of keep that duet kind of style going, but they just switch the roles a little bit. But yeah, very cool little novelty to hear the demo tracks of all three of these songs. Overall, I thought this is just a solid, headbangable little EP of just pure, straight-up heavy metal. If you like bands such as Manila Road, Haunt, Eternal Champion, and the like, you should really dig this. And, you know, while the varying mix on the bass is kind of odd, like I said, you know, when you go from it be kind of more blending in with the guitars to being more forward for the rest of it, you know, it's a little odd, but then, you know, it doesn't really distract or detract from the overall experience of listening to this EP. I would definitely give this a solid 8.5 out of 10. Go check out Wizard Death. Like I said, I will be leaving a link down below to their Bandcamp so you can listen for yourself, pick up a copy, which I highly recommend you do. And yeah, that is going to do it. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing. And until next time, stay brutal.